I have been acting now for nearly 40 years. Many of you were not born when I was starting out my career. So I'm here to talk about my theatre journey. Many years ago, when my son was just 9 months old, I took him to my rehearsal. He was well fed, he was sleeping, and he slept throughout the rehearsal. I was getting back to theatre after a long time, so I was chatting with my friends, we did the rehearsal. We finished the rehearsal, we leave the space, and I had barely gone 50 or 70 meters that somebody calls me out, Lovleen! I wondered what the calamity was. I turned around to see that that girl was carrying my son. So I didn't have enough rehearsal of being a mother, so I forgot my child at rehearsal. On many occasions, I have learnt my lines of the play on my way to rehearsal. And I talk and I make all kinds of expressions. At a traffic signal, I was doing the same thing, lost in my own thoughts and the play. Then one man comes and knocks loudly on my car window. I give him a dirty look. He gives me an even dirtier look and he points to the traffic signal. It has turned green. So it's very clear that you do need a bit of madness, a bit of craziness to be on this path. Usually people do theatre and they use it as a stepping stone to their career in films or television or whatever, but basically for the screen. In my case, it was the other way round. I was acting in a television show called Hum Log. Hum Log, incidentally, was the first TV soap opera on Indian television, and there was only one channel at that time, which was Doordarshan. It was very popular, and I was part of the main cast. We all became household names. We were recognized everywhere. And life was very good. I was earning, I was 16, I was signing autographs. During the shooting and the rehearsal for this show, I noticed that so many of the actors who were from theatre, they were very good in the way they used their voice, their body language, the way they interpreted a scene, the way they made their characters work. So when one of them asked me that, would you like to do a play? I jumped at the offer. The play was called Aadhe Adhure by Mohan Rakesh. Who was Mohan Rakesh? I had heard that name, but again, I wanted to know more. And there was no Google University at that time. So I physically went to the Sahitya Academy library. I read about Mohan Rakesh and some of his plays. I also asked senior actors to help me know more about him and the kind of period he wrote about. Now, while all this is great and there's a lot of madness to it, there is a method to this madness. The method is that when you get a script which is fresh and crisp and clean, you read your lines, you read the whole play, you learn your lines, then you do your lines with the co-actors, then you figure out who goes where, who stands where, who comes from where, who goes from where, with the music, with the lights, you do your costumes, and then you do a final rehearsal on which you get feedback. You incorporate that feedback, and after that it's showtime. So it's a proper method, it's a heady journey, but it's really a lot of fun. The other thing is that besides the method and the madness, there is a discipline. If you're not on time, then everybody else in the rehearsal wastes their time waiting for you. If you don't know your lines, then the whole momentum of the rehearsal goes haywire. If you don't know your moves, again, it's costing the entire production time and money. You are here for the audience. You are not performing for yourself. So even if it's your 143rd show, you have to give it your full effort. Even if there are 8 people in the audience, you perform to the fullest. Because one, you're performing for the audience who has bought tickets, spared out time to come and see the show and have a good time. So it's always be there. Often actors complain that I have a very small role, I have nothing to do. I had somewhat of a similar experience. I got a call from, these are all the plays that I've done. I got a call from one of my favorite directors, Sunil Shanbag. Sunil said, there is a role for you. Oh, yeah, I'm doing it. He said, listen, it's only one scene. Yeah, I'll do it. He said, listen, you have to listen also. So I listened to what he's saying. He says, it's a one-scene role in which your face is never seen. Do you still want to do it? I said yes. Why? Because I trusted my director, I trusted my own self, and I wanted to look at it like an adventure. Because now I can use my voice to the maximum, I can use my body language to the maximum, and it's a new experience. So that's how perhaps the saying goes, that there are no small roles, there are only small actors. Adjustability and adaptability. I was doing a play, which was actually a set of 3 short stories written by Chhutki. My story was called Nanni Ki Nani. We had performed at various places, and then we went to perform at IIT Powai. IIT Powai is the IIT in Mumbai. So we go, we see the stage. The stage was 1/3 the size of the stage I was used to be performing on. So what do? Should I say, I can't do it? There's no time. You have to be thinking on your toes. I figure out that I'll have to maybe tone down all the loud gestures and movements. I need to play more with my voice because the audience is closer, and so on and so forth. The point is that you have to do what the story directs you to do, what its basic emotion is. You have to figure out how to adapt yourself to any new situation, or for that matter, any new actor. Like an actor falls out and somebody else steps in, you have to figure out your energies with this new co-actor. So you have to be thinking on your toes. Talking of small roles, talking of different kinds of spaces, basically brings you to the point that you have to get yourself dirty. You have to surrender to the process. Otherwise, there's no fun. There is also a lot to learn from your rejections, from your failures. A play can be a flop. Your part may not be appreciated a lot. So what do? You give it all up? No. You try and figure out how to do it better. Like the saying in Hindi goes, "Boond boond se banta hai sagar." And talking of this reminds me of a poem called Par. Par is written by one of my favorite poets, Naresh Saxena. पुल पार करने से पुल पार होता है, नदी पार नहीं होती. पुल पार करने से पुल पार होता है, नदी पार नहीं होती. नदी पार नहीं होती नदी में धंसे बिना. नदी में धंसे बिना तो पुल का अर्थ भी समझ नहीं आता. नदी में धंसे बिना पुल पार करने से पुल पार नहीं होता. सिर्फ लोहा लंगड़ पार होता है. कुछ भी नहीं होता है पार नदी में धंसे बिना. ना पुल पार होता है और ना नदी पार होती है. After all these experiences that I have shared with you, I want to tell you one of 2 more incidents which happened with me. One was I was doing a street play with very young girls. These girls were acting for the first time. We were performing in a place called Ambedkar Nagar in West Delhi. It's a resettlement colony. And the play was about the girls convincing their parents to let them study. We had prepared a very good play. On the day of the show, there is much excitement. As you know, in street theatre, the audience doesn't come to you, you go to the audience. There are many distractions. People are talking, crying, hawkers, vendors, traffic, this, that, everything. But you have to focus and be with your part. On the day of the show, there were about 100 people where we were performing. But the girl who was playing the main role, Manju, she didn't show up. There was a lot of nervousness. We were getting scared. How will we do the show? The girls had started redistributing Manju's lines among themselves. What to do? We tried to send someone to her house. That person came back saying that Manju's mother banged the door on my face. Now it's time. It's show time. We start the play. A girl says, I will do all of Manju's lines. Okay, I have no choice. And I can hear Manju's voice saying those lines. And I tell myself, forget your imagination, just focus on the play. But Manju's voice is ringing in my ears. Then suddenly there's some commotion in one part of the audience. I turn to look there and what do I see? Manju is blazing her way through the crowd. She comes and stands exactly on the spot where she's supposed to be. And the play starts. This, I think, is the most dramatic moment of the show. The show went off very well. After it finished, I asked Manju that how did you manage to escape? And she said, Didi, अगर मैं नहीं आती तो show कैसे होता? So Manju had taught Didi so much about guts, responsibility, and craft. On another occasion, I was doing a monologue. There were a series of monologues under one common theme. We had a set of 8 shows. 4 shows had got over. On the day of the 5th show, I wake up, I open my mouth to speak, and my voice is like this. I gargle, I do many things to get my voice back. The voice doesn't come back. I rush to the doctor, tell him I have a show in the evening. What do I do? He says, you rest for 3 days. I said, no, I have to go. I tell my director that this is what my doctor is saying, I need to rest my vocal cords. She said, you come, we'll figure out something. I don't believe this. I have no voice, I have no choice, and I'm going to do a show with no voice. Anyway, I reach the auditorium. From somewhere they dig out a mic. The mic is the size of a tennis ball. It's cold metal. Now how do they fix it? They paste it. They use Scotch tape to paste it on my chest. There's a wire going down, which was tickling me here. But I say, just throw all of that out for the moment and again, focus. Someone is trying to say that I'm giving you healing while you're performing. And I speak in my loudest whisper because the sound guy said, I will amplify it to the maximum. I do my little monologue. I come out, people pat my back, and I don't believe that I deserve it. Audience also clapped. I again feel that maybe they're doing it out of sympathy. During the interval, the sound operator comes running and says, what were you doing, Lovleen? I said, why? He said, I had to lower the volume. So I really don't know what came over me, but this too can happen in theatre if you forget everything and put yourself into the ocean. And last but not the least, I want to say that you could be doing a solo piece. You could have directed it yourself, but you still need a team. You need someone to do the lights, the sound, the costumes, the box office, the publicity, the promotion, and so many other things. It is all about teamwork. And more often than that, the theatre family becomes like your second family. People who come from far, have settled in a new city. For them, who are their friends? Who is their family? We are all there together. And the best example of this theatre fraternity solidarity was seen during the COVID pandemic. Many actors couldn't go back home. They were living off their savings. Many didn't have savings. Many fell ill. So we all joined hands, pooled our resources, and were helping each other. So that's what theatre is. It's often a second home. For me, it's been my riyaz, my teacher, everything. A few years ago, I noticed that when I walked, my arm didn't swing. When I walked, my feet dragged. I would get up in the middle of the night with a tremor. But it wasn't so bad, and I continued working. But I was aware. Maybe because you're an actor, you're more aware of your body and what it's up to. Slowly, the things became more difficult. I was getting more rigid, more stiff, and I felt I should go to a doctor. The doctor told me that you are heading towards a neurodegenerative disease. I was completely thrown off. I was in a state of disbelief. I didn't know what was happening to me. I even didn't tell so many of my friends. But the first thought that came to my mind was that I need to tell my play directors that they will have to replace me. To say that required a lot of courage. And I had to leave 2 plays, which meant a huge chunk of my life was removed. I started taking medicines. I had all the symptoms, what they call, of Parkinsonism. I used to get up in the morning. I had no motivation, no drive, no energy. I was heading towards depression. In such a scenario, I get a call from a director called Mohit Takalkar. That's him at rehearsal. He says, I want you to act in my play. I said, I haven't acted in years now. He said, but I've seen your earlier work and I've liked it. Please come. I said, you just see in what condition I am. I go to meet him. I tell him how I walk. I show it to him. And he says, we'll figure all that out and you come. We did 84 days of rehearsal. I managed to do it. We did a show. And what I realized that in this entire process, I had got back my self-confidence. My stamina had returned to me. And most importantly, I had learned to laugh. I must say that the illness is still there, but it's in control. My confidence has come back. I know how to manipulate it, manage it. Because of the simple fact that the diagnosis of an illness or the diagnosis of a problem is not the end of your life or anything. It's the beginning of a new chapter. I still have problems. I still feel rejected at times when I'm performing. But the larger point to make out here is that the show must go on, whatever happens. Give it your best. Thank you.